Guys, every once in a while, there are companies that I really like that put out a knife that I just absolutely just don't like. And this is the case on this one. I can objectively look at this knife and say it's a quality knife. I'm going to say there's a laundry list of issues that I find with it. You guys may find those issues as well. So let's go ahead and turn this around and take a look at the Off-Grid Knives Raptor. So guys, like I said in the intro, you can have a knife that is incredibly well made and still have it fall flat. This is the Off-Grid Knives Raptor. Now, I want to preface this by saying all the stuff I say in these videos are my opinion. You may absolutely love this knife, that's fine, but I'm going to tell you, this is not a knife for me. So let's go ahead, let's get some specs. So you're looking at a D2 blade that is 2.75 inches long. It's coated with what they say is a blackwash and titanium nitride coating. You got G10 handles that are also 2.75 inches. So that leaves you with an overall length of 5.5 inches. Now, what's really unique is this blade shape, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, these are done in G10 handles. It's right and left carry, the liner lock, and it's running on bearings. And your total weight on this is 4.7 ounces. So let's do a couple quick size comparisons for this because this isn't a real big knife. So your first knife is going to be simply what's in my pocket right now, which is the PMP Big Boy. This is not a small knife. You can see here, it's not little, but definitely not a real big knife. Your next knife is the Benchmade 940, a knife most of you guys are going to know. You can see the Benchmade's a good bit longer. And then your final knife, as always, is the Benza Large 21, a knife almost everyone's going to know. So let's get this out of here and take a look at this. Now, like I said, I said it in the intro, this is just definitely not a knife for me. I have to say Off-Grid Knives has done some really, really good knives that I definitely did like. They've done the Scorpion. They did another one that was the Stinger. They were both great knives, and this is a very, very well made knife. Bestech does good work. I'm not finding any flaws in the quality of this knife. I just have some serious problems with it. I will say action on this, awesome, very, very good in hand. This is where we start running into problems. I will say this thing cuts superbly well. The blade grind on it is done very, very well. It came really sharp. It has got this forward recurved area. That's why they call it the Raptor. You can get in on that and do some things with that, but this nice broad blade does come down to a good angle, and it does cut really, really well. You can see I did a lot of cutting with this. I'm happy with how it cuts. The jimping on it is decent, and it's in a good spot if you want to do some heavy cutting and things like that. And they did a really good job on the Tonto, getting that grind married up. So with that being said, oh, and the pocket clip's not a bad pocket clip. It's not, the pocket clip itself is not a hot spot at all. And they did a good job giving you reversible pocket clip and filling those holes with extra screws so that you don't have to worry about them filling up with grit and dirt. And access to the lock bar is good. The action on it is really, really good. So we've covered the good stuff. Now we've got to flip this around and take a look at the bad stuff, because for me, this knife is just a no-go. And like I said, these are all my opinions. So let's turn this around. You guys listen to something from Coffee Brand Coffee real quick, and we'll talk about the negatives. Guys, you've heard me talk about Coffee Brand Coffee a bunch of times. I'm going to do it again real quick. Coffee Brand Coffee is a channel sponsor. They are a great company sponsoring small channels like mine, but they also are a guilt-free purchase because they do not practice any politics. They have a money-back guarantee, and they roast their coffee on demand. So if you're interested in it, my link down below in the videos saves you 10% at checkout, sometimes more depending on what they've got going on as far as specials and sales. So go check them out. Great product. Thank you very much for sponsoring the channel, Coffee Brand Coffee. Let's get back to the knife. So first and foremost, I want to correct something. The specs that I told you guys at the very front, I got them off of Off-Grid Knives website, and they are wrong. So this is an inch scale here. You can see right here, this knife is not 5.5 inches. It is 6.5 inches. Your blade length is not 2.75. It is a little over 3, and the handle length on this is closer to 4. I have a problem when a company can't even get their specs for their own knife right. You know what I mean? Off-Grid Knives, fix your website. Okay, the negatives on this knife. It is big. This is big. This takes up so much pocket space. So just to give you an idea, this is one of my bigger, bulkier knives. This is that Chavez. This is a big knife. It doesn't take up near as much space as this little off-grid knives Raptor. It is very, very big. You cannot carry this and expect to be able to get in and out of your pockets. The next thing, this handle is sculpted way too aggressively. And if you look where that pocket clip sits, it has this tore up pockets. It literally would have pocket material, not just lint, pocket material and strings stuck to it. While it is a tactile, grippy feel, they could have definitely done something on either side of this where the pocket clip sits. You can see where it's at and made that a little smoother. You don't need that grip underneath where the pocket clip is. So that's a big one right there. Next one. This thing is going to be a sharpening nightmare. This will not be easy to sharpen. I don't know if even my thin stones, my narrow stones will fit in this. This is something that you're going to have a specific rod to do. And then you have to have multiple rods, which means now you have to add to your collection of sharpening materials. It's just too tight of a radius. There's another knife like this that Olamic makes with a vampy blade, they call it, that has this. Absolutely a no-go. In hand, it's very uncomfortable. It's not a full 3-finger, it's not a full 4-finger grip, it's not a 3.5-finger grip. It's uncomfortable. The edges are sharp. It is hotspot city. And then this here is definitely a negative point here. This is really sharp on that edge. Even though I've got fairly coarse hands from having done a lot of stuff over years of work and things like that, have a lot of calluses, that point right here, let me zoom in, where that meets up, that is sharp right there against the finger, especially if you're digging into it to do some heavy cutting. If you're doing some heavy cutting and bearing down, that's right in your hand, and it could have been smoothed out a lot more. And then, like I said, it's just, all in all, it's just not a great knife. There's way too much wasted space on this. It's just not a knife for me. It's a well done knife. I will not argue that it is a quality knife. And while it might be a knife a lot of people will love, I just can't get behind this one. I think it's just going to pose too many problems for people, especially if you actually have to sharpen this. A 1/2-inch stone, you're going to have a hard time getting in that tight of a radius with a 1/2-inch stone. You're going to have a rod. So, and then there's just, like I said, there's just some issues with it. And the big thing that irritates me is I can't find the actual specs. That does frustrate me. If I want the actual specs, I'm gonna have to measure it myself. If I was looking this up, I would be very frustrated had I bought this knife expecting a 5.5-inch knife and getting an almost 7-inch knife. Definitely they need to take that into account. So, all right, guys, let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you out about your day. There you go. Like I said, not a glowing endorsement of this knife. There's just too many negatives on this for me. I wish I could have liked it. It is fun, it's cool, and it is a good knife. It's not an issue of it being a bad knife. There's just a lot of stuff that I want to point out because you guys may look at purchasing this knife. And the big thing that really irritated me was, especially in retrospect, having filmed the body of the video, they couldn't even get their specs right on their website. So had I wanted a knife that was 5.5 inches and then got this, I'd have been upset. You know what I mean? So with that being said, guys, don't take it personally. If you like this knife, absolutely, that's fine. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. But please try to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. You want to support the channel. Coffee Brand Coffee, there was an ad. I also have Tempered Trail. They are both sponsors. They have links down below in the description that have discount codes built right into them. You can use the coupon code CrazySharp at them, all one word, CrazySharp. It doesn't matter. Saves you 10% at both those vendors. Also saves you 5% at Rosecraft Blades and Farmforge Knife Works. I have an Amazon store down below. Take it, pin it to your browser, use it for any shopping you're going to do. It supports the channel. It doesn't cost you anything at checkout. And I have a membership that's tier-based. Everyone gets access to my videos the second I post them up, early access. Everyone has access to my Gilded server, which is just like Discord. The baseline and premium guys are entered into giveaways that I do on the Gilded server for them. And the premium guys have access to a sharpening tutorial series here on YouTube behind that paywall. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I'll see you in the next video.